What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? I tell you what, every time I watch that video, I realize how much it needs to be edited and updated, especially that hard cut off. That's a hard cut. No one likes the cut to be that hard, right? I want to thank each and every one of you for hopping in the chat tonight. Let's see, we got a little bit here. We go down the list, by the way. Let's see who all we got. We got UFO. Believe it or not, UFO in the Garage is in the house, guys. The gold position is going to go to Zenze Bell. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I could have swore it said Zenze Bell when I first checked earlier, but now it's showing me Pam. It's showing me Pam on here, possibly. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. So we got Pam. We got Zenze Bell. Bill, excuse me. We've also got Paranormal Chop Shop, who is live right now, y'all. I hope you guys caught their show tonight. I believe they still have another hour they are going. Andy Gambino, what is shaking, brother? The man with the golden jawline. I forget the name of it, but they have a name for that jawline. It exists. And believe it or not, guys, John Muzic is in the house tonight. K-Man847 says, hey, what is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Melissa Nicole in the house. Yes, I did take my van back. She'd have some believe that she's got Old Blue out and about. Old Blue is back home tonight. Alien Girl 111, what is shaking, Amy? Stuart, thank you for being here tonight. Brown Dot Flop, how's your night going? Thank you for being here. All right, who else we got? As we move down the list here, Wes H, thank you for coming and hanging out with us this fine Friday evening. It was a long week, guys. Very long week, I will tell you that. That one time I was abducted by aliens. Bree and Jamie, I believe both are in the house tonight. Sunsaver, what is happening, brother? Thank you for being here tonight. Who else? Yeah, Brianna is here. She says wrench me. But she didn't say wrench me hard. Just wrench me. I don't think she meant it. If anybody means it, they're going to say wrench me hard. Simon Wells, my man. My mate. What is shaking, brother? Thank you for being here. 509 Divine Pines. What are you doing tonight? How's your evening going? Let's see who else we got down here. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. If I did miss anybody, I apologize. Justice for the Goat. Oh, here's a new one. JST183. Long-time listener, first-time caller in to the old Willy. Hey, if you stick around tonight, we will be opening up the lines near after the 1 hour, so around 11 p.m. tonight. I will be opening up the lines for those that would like to come in and be respectful and have a good time. Hang out with John and myself tonight. Pinzer Flactum is here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's see who else we got. Carol, what is shaking? Thank you. My goodness, how many people are in here? Akashi Chris, thank you for being with us this fine evening. We're already getting the butt raids, guys. If you don't know about this yet, let me just say, it's an honor to get butt rated. Some of you don't know what that's about yet. You will. You will if you're lucky enough to know. You'll know. Speaking of that, I will be on tomorrow night. Actually, it'll be tomorrow afternoon. Thank you for whoever get that love and that heart out there on Facebook. Thank you very much. It will be 5 p.m. Eastern? Yeah, 5 p.m. Eastern time. I will be on with Bree and Jamie doing butt stuff. Butt stuff with Big Willy. But really quickly, guys, I have a couple updates I want to hit on here really quickly. Moving forward, please join me next weekend as my guest will be Sev Talk, and we will be just digging into her relationship with MUFON and the experiences that she's worked with over the past couple of years, and not only that, her own experiences as well. And following that, I will have Scary Gary and Thin Lizzy Borden coming on together as a couple, discussing both their interactions with the abnormal and the paranormal and the phenomenon, not only in their lives as individuals, but as they have moved forward as a couple. They've had some interactions, so that'll be a good time. I don't have the one booked after that yet. We're talking, and it's not solidified, so I don't want to mention it just yet. But I will have them all laid out for you guys very soon here. Please don't forget you can catch Ben and Joe every Tuesday now. My gosh, is it a tongue twister? Something like Topless Tuesday, I believe, or something like that. Something close to that. If I got it wrong, I apologize. One other quick thing I want to hit right off the bat, guys. And if you were listening, playing this back, we really, really appreciate it. One thing we've been really experiencing over here at the garage, and we're trying to grow this a little more, Old Blue needs gas to keep going, and we appreciate the super chats you guys give so very much. You guys are amazing, and it means the world to us. It truly does. The only thing is, YouTube loves taking between 30 and 40% of that. So we've changed this up a little bit. I know it's a little bit of a change. And if you guys want to continue to support the show that way and donate, we appreciate it. We're not going to stop you. We love it. But as Jamie is pointing out, no more super chats. We do have our show links. And this is how I have all of mine in here. I have my PayPal, I have my Venmo, and my Cash App. These three are in mine. So if you do donate to these tonight, or if you would eventually go down there, those would come directly to me, just so you're clear, in case you want to support the boys, you want to support your money just going to Joe and Ben. Even though we're a team over here, this is kind of a team interaction. It's not really a one-man show or two-man show. We're all making this happen together. You can go and support them individually on their shows if you'd like as well. They have their PayPal now linked in the show notes. So if you're playing this back and you wish you could support the show, please feel free to do it that way. You can also check out our website at ufogaragepodcast.com. All the links to that, as well as merchandise that you can get yourself in there to help support the show over here. Once again, that keeps the lights on for the garage, and it keeps the gasoline flowing. Keeps it going for each and every one of us. So we really appreciate you taking the time to possibly do that. And you can now rate us. I believe this was mentioned, but I'll mention it one more time. For those that are listening on Spotify, it now has an option to like and rate. If you could give us a thumbs up or a 5-star review, that would be amazing. Someone said Jake Smith. Is Jake Smith in the house? Mr. Jake Smith, if you are, I really do appreciate it. Brianna, this has not happened yet. I do not have. Some have rumored that Big Willy has an OnlyFans page. That is not true. If I ever did, it would solely be for reading for people. I would read whatever you want me to read. Erotic. Perhaps it's non-erotic. It's okay. I'll read what you'd like me to. And so thank you for being here tonight. I know I mentioned it, but I really appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all the support you give. Speaking of support, guys, tonight in the garage, let me get this set up here. We're having, just so you guys know, gremlins are out there tonight. They're messing with us. We have Mr. John Muzic in the house. So I'd like to, first of all, say thank you very much, John, for being here tonight before I give you this little bit of an introduction, which is just barely anything, honestly. But John Muzic will be taking a spin in Old Blue as we discuss the phenomenon known as ufology as a whole. John brings a great attitude and approach to the subject. Not only does he show incredible support to the community of ufology, which I think anybody who's had a channel knows about that. Oh, Josh and the Artemis Show. Hey, very cool the two of you would hop in here tonight. Thank you for showing up to see John and myself, hang out here for a little bit. He is an exemplary model of what we should all be striving to do, to make a difference and bring about true change within the community. He educates himself on subject matters he finds intriguing, and as a result, brings an intellect with the questions he poses, and is rivaled by few and far between. So buckle up as we take Old Blue into the cosmos and beyond once again, and as always, stay curious and keep it weird. But I tell you what, guys, let's give John, we got a little piece of music here for John. Megan T, thank you for being here tonight. Yeah, for sure. Guys, give me about a half hour to kind of let John get some of his information out there, and then we for sure will dig into listener questions. So at the bottom of the hour here, I will open it up for any and all questions you guys have for Josh, okay? Excuse me, John. Oh my gosh. I apologize for John. So really quick though, bringing John in here, guys. Let's check this out. First of all, John, actually, I'm going to bring you right in, brother. Thank you for being here tonight, John. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man.
How's your night going?
It's going okay. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. As I was telling him, I said the gremlins, they're afoot. They're messing with us tonight. My other computer has been spotty at best. Welcome to the show. It says greetings. Thank you for being here tonight. And you guys don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you have not, ring the bell, and share with a friend. It really, really helps us out. But John, I just got to say, I'm going to play this piece of music for us here. You ready?
Go ahead.
Let's do this. All right, here we go. This piece of music before, so I want to thank you first of all for bringing that up. There's quite a line in that song, and I was like, oh, what is this? What is this? I don't think I'd heard this before. And then you mentioned the line in the song, which was, "Let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move. You just sit still. Now let your mind do the walking, and let my body do the talking. Let me show you the world in my eyes." Right. So, thank you so very much for that amazing super chat to both Josh and Artemis Show. Thank you very much, guys. So for yourself, starting here, first and foremost, thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for making the time to come and hang out with me tonight. I really do appreciate that.
Of course.
And I just want to say, why that song? Like, what part of that lyric resonates with you? How does that apply to John, the man?
Well, I grew up loving music. My parents played a lot of cool music from here and from all over the world when I was growing up. And I just like Depeche Mode, especially those kind of songs. And that one has words in it that kind of sort of apply to what we're doing here in the global disclosure movement.
Very true.
Yeah. So I thought it was relevant. It's a cool song. It's a good way to start a show. Why not?
Heck yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's start with that. Let's start a little bit, because a lot of people know you, obviously, as coming in, showing amazing support, asking the amazing questions when you come on the shows. You're a
Thank you.
safe person to always bring in. I always enjoy hearing you pop into a chat and bringing your perspective to it. But let's go back a little bit before we dig into what got you started on your journey. And actually, let's start there. Where does John's journey begin in relation to the idea of ufology? Before we disclosure, just ufology or the topic as a whole?
Right. I think it started from the earliest age I was when I was a kid. I mean, yeah, because my father would play a lot of sci-fi movies on TV, watching. I was born in 1980, so I was already watching from the time I was a toddler, Star Wars, Star Trek, and then, of course, my favorite movie of the 80s ever was Predator 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Good movie right there.
I was really fascinated by alien life, non-human life in general, anything robotic, AI, but especially alien. And if it looked cool and sounded cool, I loved it even more. And, I don't know if you remember in the 80s and 90s, people in this chat might be a lot younger than me, but there used to be a show called Nova in the 80s and 90s. So they talked a lot about outer space and the possibility of alien life. So while other kids were maybe doing other things, after I got back from playing sports and martial arts classes and doing all that, I never got too much into video games. I never watched comic books. I loved watching documentaries about science and outer space and aliens. So, and of course, really cool sci-fi movies. I still do.
Now, what do you think that was? Was it just a general obsession of just enjoying, the subject matter as it was? Gordon85, welcome to the chat, brother. Thank you for being here tonight. Was it something you just enjoyed because it looked kind of cool? I remember the first time I watched The Predator scared me to death, and I felt like the graphics were just so amazing. And it's kind of funny now going back and watching it. It's a little laughable at parts, but it was at the time pretty groundbreaking. And it's kind of funny now to see how a lot of people, specifically in regards to the Glimmer Man, have related it back to that movie. Do you feel that early on in your childhood with some of those things you were into, do you feel that was slow disclosure at the time, preparing the people? Or do you think that maybe we're just reading too much at that point?
Yeah, well, before I answer that, the audio is coming through really scratchy. I can barely hear a word you're saying. Can you restart the audio, or do I need to log out and log back in?
I can try to log you out and log you back in real quick. Let me see am I still really quiet for you?
Yeah, I can't hear almost anything you're saying. It's completely fuzzy. I think the three-letter agencies want to shut this shit down right now.
That's probably it. Yeah, go ahead and go out and come back in with the same link, and I'll catch up with the chat really quick, okay?
All right, I'm going to log out right now. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
All right.
Alrighty, guys. First of all, let me catch back up with those in the chat. You guys all rock. As you know, they're trying to shut John down. They know what he's here to do. They know what Mr. Music's got going on. And they're not about that. They gotta stop it. Let's see really quick. I see some good questions that were coming up. By the way, guys, for anybody who has questions, I will definitely get to them. I just want to get John's story out, just a little bit, the backstory of who and what John is and what his experience was coming into this. Excuse me. Speaking of John, he's back. So let's bring him back in and see what we get here. John, is it any better for you?
It is better. If it happens again, I'll let you know.
No problem. As I say, if it happens again, you got to pop out. Just go ahead and pop out and pop back in there.
Right.
What I was asking is, at the time, maybe you were just enjoying good, sci-fi or good information, science show or whatever at the time. But do you think any part of that entertainment was the start of disclosure or the slow conditioning leading up to this? Now that you look back as to where you're at now.
Right. Now that I look back, I do see that now. They say hindsight is 20/20. So when I look back, starting out as a child, all the other little kids that were around me watching those movies, they pretty much just took it as entertainment. They would laugh and then go walk away and get a peanut butter sandwich. But I took it very seriously. I know that seems totally surprising for anybody watching me that I would take anything serious, but I had a good sense of humor back in the day. But I also took sci-fi and aliens very seriously. I would ask my dad about it because he was an engineer, so I would ask him and he got me involved too. He kept talking about the history of what might be, what could be out there. And also because of he's partially of Persian ancestry, he told me a lot about what was said in that part of the world, in Central Asia and the Middle East, what was the legends of the jinn and of previous civilizations before the time of Noah, which a lot of people in that part of the world know all about, how they were giant-sized and there were all kinds of monsters living back then. People lived a long time, much longer than we live. They were much smarter. And there's even legends in that part of the world how way before humans were either around or became anything at all, there was a race of non-humans that got destroyed in some kind of war or something like that that had phenomenal technology. So I was listening to him tell me that when I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I was already reading and writing at a very advanced level when I first turned the age of 3. So I was able to do it, and I read a lot.
That's awesome. I don't know that I'm super familiar with that. Would you mind sharing? I know we're talking about your history a little bit here, but I believe this applies to it. Would you mind sharing some of like maybe a story your father might have told you in regards to that region of the world in relation to this topic?
Right. There's too many, so I'll just pick a couple that won't take too long. And I'm going to summarize probably 12 hours of conversation into 60 seconds since
Nice.
we have limited time. So I might skip over
No rush, brother.
giant
No
chunks
rush.
of the story here. But as far as the jinn, that is all over the world, especially the Middle East and Central Asia, not just the ancient Persians and ancient Sumerians, but apparently the ancient king Solomon, which, of course, in that part of the world, you don't pronounce it Solomon, it's pronounced Soleiman. So apparently he was the richest king in history as far as having the most gold and diamonds and stuff. They said he had diamonds so big they could block a doorway. And they said
Really?
he could, the legends are he could speak to animals. He had special gifts from God or the source. He could talk to animals and the jinn. And the jinn would give him special information, whereas jinn are not allowed by God to talk to humans. They're not allowed to physically come into our three-dimensional world, but they do live here on Earth, but in another dimension. They have their own culture, language, traditions. They have families. But the legends are that they're really jealous of humans because physically they're so ugly and they don't get to come here. So because they're jealous and they're a
Really?
little bit telepathic and clairvoyant and extremely much older than humans, then they like to trick humans. Sometimes they give you the truth. Sometimes they lie to you. You never know what to trust. So it's best to just avoid them because you never know if they're telling you the truth or not. So they indirectly try to influence humans, but they're not allowed to come into. So if people are seeing them now, that means either some kind of portal was opened or they're breaking the rules of the multiverse. They're breaking the rules of the multidimensional multiverse, and that's against the rules. That might be why some people are talking about right now, Christians, Jewish people, Islamic people, they're talking about if you're a good person with good intentions and you genuinely need help and you call out to God for help to get rid of these, whoever the malicious beings are, they have to leave. I don't know if it actually works or not all the time, but I've heard it does. So that's the jinn. And like I said, I just condensed 12 hours of conversation into 60
Right.
seconds. So I missed a lot.
Well, no, I think, and first of all, I think you beautifully summed that up in 60 seconds. I certainly could have not done that. And no rush. We have so many
Right.
nights tonight together, or however much time we can get out of you. But yeah,
And
so this
there was,
started.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
that was the jinn, right? We can
Yes.
come back to that later, especially I know there's a lot of people that lately all over the internet are talking about the jinn. I don't know what the hell is going on, but people claim to have been seeing the jinn. But also there is the talk in that part of the world that there was an ancient civilization, and the older in time you go, the bigger, taller, smarter people got, the longer lived they got. So
You know,
there is talk that before the time of Noah, that
yeah,
Noah and especially his father and grandfather lived around 1,000 years or more, and they
very
were
true.
much taller and bigger, and they lived in the Caucasus Mountains, which is where my father's side of the family is from.
Very
And
nice.
so the legends, my great uncle told me, he passed away when he was almost 100, and he worked during the Shah's time to try to stop the Soviet Union from invading Iran. So he was working with the British MI6. Apparently, those are the legends, to try to stop it. And he was a very knowledgeable, wise guy, and he came to San Francisco and passed away in California. But I remember when I was a small child, he said that the legends are in the Caucasus Mountains before 12,900 years ago, before the time of Noah, that people lived a long time and there were giant civilizations all over the world that were connected. They all knew each other and they were much smarter in a lot of ways. They might not have had everything we have today, but they were a lot smarter in a lot of ways than we are. So those are the legends. There's the ancient Middle Eastern legend of the monster slayer, the hero. His name was Rostam. He was like the Middle Eastern Sinbad and Conan combined into one guy.
Dang.
So his name was Rostam. A lot of, believe it or not, Russian people named their kids Rostam. But it's like he's a famous guy. Supposedly he lived way before the cataclysm, and he was giant, and he took down other giants and monsters, and he had all these adventures like Sinbad, and they tell that to kids when they're growing up. But of course, we weren't there, so we have no way to verify if it was true or not, because all the records got erased in several events that you guys know about.
Yeah.
Number one was in Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria had records going back tens of thousands of years, or possibly hundreds of thousands of years, and that got destroyed. Also, there was the ancient library in Persepolis, which, of course, the ancient Greeks and Persians, you properly pronounce it Persepolis, which is the city of Persians, and that was burned down by Alexander the Great. And there was records, they said, in the Middle East going back, like clay tablets and even leather books and linen and books of records of humanity and knowledge of medicine and technology and engineering and mathematics and astrology, going back to the beginning of humankind. And that was burned to the ground.
So much that was probably lost.
Yes, and then you have, the underground. What is that? The underground city of Osiris in Egypt. Supposedly there was a maze city down there with a lot of knowledge. Things might have been lost. So we lost a lot to time, and we regressed.
Mm-hmm.
So these hybrid super tall beings, and whoever they were that were ruling around as the 1% back then, and we were, I guess, normal humans. Maybe we were the blue collar people back then, just maids, housekeepers, servants. Stuff like that back then. A lot of the knowledge was lost, so we had to start over again after the cataclysm. We went from being extremely advanced probably to being a caveman again, and had to start all over again.
I've often wondered about that in regards to, say, talking about the underground caverns they've used LiDAR, and they've shown that over in Egypt, saying, right, hey, there are caverns that span very, very deep here. And for whatever reason, the government over there will not let anybody, and I understand some of it. I understand some people came in and they damaged and smashed a ton of history and culture and went through. I don't know that was accidental. I can't see somebody raiding a place and the first thing to do is go to the most sacred places and destroy all the history. Now, again, I know you understand you're trying to erase the history of another country during war, but some of this was happening even in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. There was a lot that they did that just doesn't seem accidental. Right. I don't know that all that stuff really disappeared.
Right. If you look at what the people are saying, if you believe the rumors, and I think it's kind of rude to say they're all lying, but if you believe what they're saying, most of our ancient Egyptian history and other history was taken and written down. And we still take that as fact today. Not me, not us, but mainstream media takes it as fact from 1800s British and French people.
Very true.
If you were going to take an 1800s British and French person's expertise on modern electronics, you wouldn't do that either. So things need to evolve and change over time. And we've discovered a lot since then. So they wrote the history. It's not correct. The pyramids were not really tombs. And all the evidence so far that's been researched by Brian Forrester and Graham Hancock and the late great Christopher Dunn, who brought engineers down there and stonemasons to analyze it from major universities, said whoever built this, for some reason all over the world, the older you go, the deeper you dig, the exponentially more difficult the engineering becomes, and the much higher level of skill it takes to make it, and the much bigger and heavier the stones get. You go from small stones to large stones to huge stones to stones that are possibly thousands of tons each, cut like a laser with special engraved, special curves on the inside so they can line up exactly with the next one, and sometimes moved over 1,000 kilometers. We don't even have helicopters today or aircraft that can move a lot of those. So, and then they had engineers looking at the stone that was cut at a rate of a minimum of 500 times greater and deeper per minute than our best multi-million-dollar stone cutting computer controlled machines. So if you listen to what the ancient Egyptian, or what the Egyptians said just in the past 100 years, they said there are tunnels down underneath there that were built there and in India and in other places in the world like Turkey, just cut right out of solid granite or even harder stone like pink granite or diorite, sometimes even harder than that, like corundum, which is almost diamond level hardness at perfect 90-degree angles. And we don't have the tools to make that today.
Exactly. And again, we're not here to talk about me, but that was one of the first things that hooked me back into, as it were. I grew up in a very deeply steeped, religious background that, anything that was alien related or UFOs, it was just all unidentified angels or demons. There was nothing else, right? Those were the answers to everything.
Right.
And it was actually, again, the architect work that reeled me in at first, because I was in the trades, and I still am a little bit, but especially back then. And we were working on these massive presses, and we had lasers and, different stuff to level all this stuff out. And I seen the struggles we were going through to level things out like that with all the technology we had. And then here I'm hearing how they've leveled this stuff off into 1/10 of a piece of paper. It just doesn't make sense with, the way that we're told it took place.
Right.
And then, like you said, you start to find that it's not just there in Egypt, it's across the world, South America. John
And
brought
not
that up
just
earlier.
South America. They're finding it now in China and Russia.
Yeah.
And across the desert of Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of ruins hiding under the sand in the Sahara, because once you go back before 7,000 to 9,000 years old, the Sahara did not look like the Sahara. It looked like you would see in like Miami.
Yeah.
So there was a civilization there. And it just doesn't make any sense what they're finding out there in the middle of the desert and elsewhere around the world. It doesn't seem like you could make that with any known tool. The theory so far is it was some kind of hyper advanced, high frequency sound levitation machines,
Yeah.
like what that Latvian guy used to make that city of Coral Stone in Florida overnight in one night. And he never showed anybody what was
Such a
inside that
tree.
black box.
Yeah. That
He
one
was a tiny little guy. I mean, literally, he weighed as much as my left leg. There's
Yeah.
no way he could have lifted that 100 to 200 ton stones. No way.
I love this from Kathy Slash. She said, John wore the white jacket tonight. Do you know he means business? Hey, I think John means business every time.
Damn right, Kathy.
That's right. We're in the business tonight. So take this back just a little bit then. You've always had this interest then. When did you start to find, I guess you could say, the community, right? When did you start to develop that? Did you start reaching out to maybe some of your friends you were growing up with in school or family members and expressing this? Did anybody close to you show interest in this subject?
Not really. No. I mean, they show interest in science, but I grew up being around people that just wanted to, besides go to school and finish their degrees and make money, they just wanted to be cool and go party and, try to go out at night on the weekend or during the week and find as many like beautiful women as they can to date another girl. That's all they really cared about. I was in the party scene for too many years, but now that I'm older and I'm not, I have the time now, especially after COVID, to research it more and get into it. And I don't know if your people watching your show are interested, but the word is on Twitter. I don't know if they're big sphinx or small sphinx, but 2 more sphinx have been found just in the past few days or few weeks. That's pretty big news out of Egypt.
I didn't know about that.
Right. And
really,
and there was another tweet that I cannot find. I put it earlier in the chat. If somebody can find the link, it was on Twitter.
I seen you talking about that.
I forgot to save it. But there was a post that somebody in the government has officially admitted now that the U.S. government does, in fact, of course, we've known they've had that for 81 years, but to the regular people, it's news. It's still a good baby step that they do have, in fact, off-world exotic crafted materials in their possession. If somebody can find the link to that, that is big news. It's baby steps. It's not what we want, but it's a good step forward.
I agree. It's been a rough thing that, throughout history in regards to ufology, it's been an upward hill battle. And, we have this weird kind of thing that's going on right now. And it's probably always been going on a little bit, but where you have some of the legends in our community that truly put their life at stake to help bring forth some of this information. And, it's just sad that some of them are passing away, and I don't think they're going to quite see or perhaps have missed some. We've lost some great ones that I think they'd be so excited to be living in this time. And I just don't want us to miss the moment. And I understand we still got so much work to do, but man, these are some exciting times. I have issues and I have some concerns with the people maybe bringing the information forward, but as long as we're moving that ball down the field, the ultimate goal. And again, and this is kind of the question tonight, right? Perspective on ufology and the phenomenon as a whole, it's so different for everybody. So in the words of John...
You're breaking up again. Willie, you're breaking up again. I'm going to have to do it again.
Yep, no problem. Jump out real quick.
I'll be right back, because I have a lot to say about that. Hold on.
Megan T, thank you so very much for that amazing super chat. We really do appreciate it. Like I said, guys, we love you guys so much for doing that. Don't forget, if anybody else wants to donate, We do have a new way of doing it a little bit, which is PayPal, Venmo, and CashApp, which are in the show notes. If you'd like to slide down and send some money that way, that'd be awesome. Just because YouTube takes 40% of everything that we get, and that's not always fun. Also, really quick too, guys, we are donating 20% of all the funds that we raise here at the UFO Garage to the community as a whole. I apologize. I believe I misplaced. Ben had sent me some information earlier on the specific company there in Texas that they're working with to help bring forth accurate, clean information, right? Not so muddled down with some of the, sometimes, as we all know, it ends up on big networks. Sometimes the truth gets a little bit washed down. So we're really excited about that. We want to put 20% back into the community. That helps with all kinds of things, funding events, and many different things. And you guys can be a part of that. So we really appreciate it. Just know that that's where your money would be going as well as helping keeping the show go. And bringing John back in here again. John, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, now it's better. I think it seems like it's going to keep happening every 5-10 minutes.
That's okay, brother. We'll roll with it. Just real quick, too, guys. If anybody wants to follow John, is it okay? Are you okay if I give out your Twitter?
Yeah, go ahead.
So his Twitter, really quick, guys, is in the show notes, too. So if you're listening back and you want to be able to follow him, it is in there. So feel free. I love it. Big Willy Butt Raid. First of all, that one time I was abducted by aliens. Bree and Jamie have been doing this lately. And guys, for those that maybe are a little upset by it, hey, it's just love, honestly. We're such a unique, diverse group and community, and it is an honor to have the butt raid take place. But just once again, John's Twitter is in the show notes, and you guys can stay in touch with him that way. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing here, and John, I'm going to keep pounding the table for you. I still think you should start a show. I think it should happen, even if it's once a month. Yeah, I'm thinking
about doing that. You're right. But like I was saying, that was big news today. If anybody can find the link. If they officially admitted that, I hope it's not just a rumor. I hope that's true. That would be pretty big news. I'm sure somebody could, while I'm talking to you right now, I can't go and do that while I'm talking to you. That's gonna mess things up. But if somebody could do that, so I thought that was pretty big news, actually.
I do love it. She says she follows. She said I follow John.
Nice. Thank you.
And she says she's the GOAT. Self-proclaimed. Alien Girl says John needs a show in all caps. I love it. Really quick then, let's hit on this. For yourself, and again, we're not saying this is what you're telling everybody they should do, but for you, what is disclosure for you? I mean, what is that idea?
Disclosure for me, I don't think we're ever going to get for a variety of reasons that I'm sure everybody already knows because we've beaten this dead horse so many times. But just to recap, full disclosure for me would be not just, I think the most we're ever going to get is they're eventually going to say, after we've been studying this for decades, the general consensus is now among the major global militaries and governments that it's probably non-human in origin, a lot of us. That's I don't think they're going to go. And of course, we all know that on a giant pyramid of levels of disclosure from 1 to 1,000, that's only level 1.
Yeah.
If you think they're ever going to admit that they can take people at will, walk through walls, bring people back dead, genetically modify you, replace us with new hybrids that are showing up now, and that they were around back then, they engineered us and everything else that goes with it, the animal mutilations, which by the way are not just cattle and horses. They're finding foxes, snakes, and all kinds of animals. Sometimes, like in England, I was just watching today, they found, foxes that had their organs taken out. Looks like some technology that doesn't exist on Earth. And snakes that had their organs taken out with no blood left. And they went deep. If anybody's done a deep dive into this, about like ranchers that walk out and come back to their barn and the horses are, no blood left, or pieces of them are everywhere, including up on the ceiling, like 30, 40 feet up. And they were just there 2 minutes ago. They heard nothing. The only thing they saw was lights in the sky like a UFO, and they go back and the animals are in pieces or no blood or organs taken out without any incisions, which doesn't make any sense. And the missing people thing, I know everybody said I got to mention it because there's too many people going missing. And do you think the government's ever going to have full disclosure and admit what percentage of the global missing people per year is due to the non-human reality, and which one is explainable and which one is due to the non-humans? I don't think they're ever going to admit any of that they can take anybody, including children, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's disclosure to me.
You do bring up a great point on that. Is it disclosure, full disclosure, like some people want, from let me put in these parameters too. Full disclosure from the U.S. government, okay, or any of the governments, but U.S. government in particular, would mean they have to admit to all the atrocities that they have committed along the way. Maybe not
Exactly.
those. Maybe not those that are in. I'll give them credit. There might be some that have taken over a department that maybe they didn't commit all those atrocities, but they know about them. They're aware of them, and so in a sense, they're owning them at this point. And I don't think that they're fully willing to come forward and fully admit to my labs, or to. We all know MK Ultra is the most famous one they've come out and finally admitted about, but there's more than that, guys. These are just the ones we know on the surface. If they're doing that,
look at all
and
the
they've
people
admitted it.
Look at all the people that have died of mysterious circumstances. I mean, do you think they would ever admit that some of them, at least, were assassinated without judge or jury or having an attorney present or anything, just because they wanted to silence them? I mean, who's going to sue who in court for that? I posted comments about all these things long time ago, way before Mellon and Elizondo mentioned all this, all across YouTube comment sections, and a lot of them got shadow banned or deleted outright. And sometimes when I posted them on major Canadian or British or Asian websites that are major news websites, like very serious website, they just responded by shutting down their entire comment section.
Yep.
Because I mentioned who's going to sue who in court for what and how. Because a lot of them passed away, their families passed away, or even the ones that weren't killed, they might have become alcoholics or taken on drugs and committed suicide, caused divorces, ruined lives and careers. Who's going to sue who for what now? They might have died. Can the family sue later on? Are they going to have a massive lawsuit where they just cover everybody and give people money? But I don't think they're ever going to do anything like that. And now we see Elizondo talking finally about not that, but he is going a little bit farther and talking about lawsuits from corporations that had unfair access to reverse engineered non-human technology. They won a contract where their competitors for the contract bid did not have access to it. Those are major lawsuits. A lot of people could do jail time or prison time unless they give blanket immunity to everyone. Then they'll still come out talking a lot more about it. But who knows? I think they might have to end up doing it. Just call it an act of God and just say we overreacted and it was an act of God because we did not predict that non-humans would come here, so you can't put us in prison anymore. And a lot of people that gave those illegal orders are now passed away, so they might cover themselves like that. We might have to get that.
Yeah. I think too, one of the things that they would come, I think obviously they know, right? Even though we dance around this, I know, most everybody in the chat here tonight knows. Shoot, I mean, a majority of the population anymore is starting to wake up to this and become more aware. But I wonder, it's always got to go back to that money and the control probably even more than the money. And I just think they have not figured out a way to be able to control the narrative on this.
They can't.
And that is the reason I think that, like you're saying, why they'll probably never really, really come out.
No, this is like a snowball. Yeah, this is like a snowball going down. It'll get bigger and bigger, like a domino effect. I mean, can you imagine what would happen to society if they admit that the non-humans are here, they engineered us, they can take people, we cannot stop them. A lot of people would look to them for answers. You never know. Some people might start all kinds of new cults and not want to go to work or pay their taxes anymore. A lot of people will get sued. Some people, when they find out that some of them can make themselves look like us, you might have neighbor turning upon neighbor, or they might shut the whole thing down with AI, and they might not let disclosure get out after it's revealed. The next day in the news, they'll just bury it in the news. You never know. They could do that. They have the power. But look at, I know Richard Dolan talked about this before. Look at what is the financial strength and the financial value of all the oil and gas industries, plus battery, wind, and solar, and water turbine power. If you look at it with all the underlying subcontractors and minor industries that support it, I think somebody mentioned it's worth around 660 trillion with a T, like Thomas, not B, with a T. So do you really think the global banking system is going to allow $660 trillion to become obsolete overnight? They might allow it if disclosure is in tiny baby steps, so they have time to adjust to 0 point energy. But they're too worried about losing money, going to jail, getting sued. What are terrorists or people that are mentally unstable going to do with 0 point energy? Christopher Mellon talked about that. What are people going to do if they take a craft and slam it back into the earth at light speed? They could vaporize us all, and we wouldn't even have had a chance to defend ourselves. What would North Korea do with this? What would China do with this against us? I think if you listen to what Ross Coulthard is saying, he's been in touch with a lot of people down in Australia now. They're looking into it more and more and more. Not that they weren't before, but they're making it a little bit more official now. It seems like there's a Cold War now with basically China, Russia, and the United States with the Five Eyes trying to see who can, as fast as they can, reverse engineer these off-world, non-human in origin craft and develop their own zero-point energy craft that work as good as them to they can do the five observables. Right now, if you listen to what people are saying, they do have limited zero-point energy craft that can hover and move around better than our fighter jets that use jet fuel, but nowhere near what an actual non-human in origin craft can do. But that is the real Cold War, because you have to ask yourself, because if you think about what Tom DeLonge has been saying, and a lot of people, Ross Coulthart, Leslie Keane, Barack Obama's made additional comments why they think that humans are not ready and why they think that disclosure should not happen. Because you look at what is going to happen to the militaries, what's going to happen to people, what's going to happen to the financial industries and religions.
Yeah.
So you're right. People might not just give a crap, or it could have implications way beyond what you and I, because for us, we already know, so it's not a big deal to us. We'll get over it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are very sensitive. A lot of people I talk to, they don't want to talk about it. They said it scares them. And a lot of people know that it's true, but they block it because they said it's too scary.
Yeah. You bring up a great point on this. And this is one of the things that I understand that, in the community, first of all, I'm very, but a Padawan in this area in regards to all of it. But one of the things I love recounting, again, are the old original stories, simply because we often forget, guys, that recovering some of these old stories that took place are just like, oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that again. But there are people out who, when I first started coming into the topic, I didn't know this stuff existed. I didn't know, and I live in the state of Michigan, I didn't know that the coin swamp gas was coined right here in 1966. I didn't know that. And I'd lived here all my life. Nobody in my family did. I'd never heard anybody talk about it. So I think it is important to help, like you were saying, people that are still becoming comfortable with the idea, hearing those original stories. It's not as in their face. But once you get them hooked on that, they say, well, wait a minute. And there's getting to be a lot of paperwork with that stuff now, right? All the great work people have done, the debrief and some other ones that have been able to go in and get the Freedom of Information Acts and bring forth the paper trail that people can't argue with anymore. Because that was always the thing, was, well, prove it to me. Well, now you have these documents that have been declassified. And they're out there. If you want to go look them up, I go on the CIA database all the time and type in a case that I'm looking for, and I download the file. I mean, this is stuff you have access to. But it helps people get comfortable to what we're leading up right now. And like you said, there's always that next thing that comes along. Tammy kind of has a great question here. She says, how far to the chain of command do you think the knowledge is? Tammy, welcome to the chat. Thank you for being here tonight.
Great question. Well, like you said, we're just giving our personal opinion. So in my opinion, my gut feeling tells me that very few know the real whole truth, but probably a lot of people have a good gut feeling of their own and have heard the rumors around the different militaries that we're not alone. But knowing the real truth, I remember DeLonge making a statement how very few people know, but the ones that do know, we should pity them because they wish they never knew. They don't sleep at night at all. And apparently the real truth is so scary, so totally messed up, that if we knew, we would wish we didn't know either. I just wish that they would elaborate a little bit more on that, because now we're just using our imaginations to imagine what he meant by that. And that's not fair to the community. We need more answers. I want disclosure. I mean, everybody's in here to push disclosure forward and make new friends, which is awesome. But we have to have disclosure one day, no matter what. Although, if you listen to what DeLonge is saying, they're making it look like disclosure would be not worth it. They're making it look like if we actually knew the real truth, all of us would wish we never joined disclosure movement at all.
That's been a big narrative, that fear narrative. Again, the fear mongering of it's so bad we can't tell you.
That's really fucked up. I mean, if it's that bad, I mean, we've already heard enough from the entire research community to pretty much take an educated guess at what he means by that. It's we have to assume that what he means by that is they can take people at will, return them, not return them dead, take babies out of pregnant women, modify our DNA, kill our animals, take our children, and they are the ones who made us, and they can pretty much do as they please, and we can't do shit about it. It seems like, unless we hear otherwise, that's what all of us are assuming he means, right? I mean, what can we assume?
Great question here from KMAN847. Where did they hide the bodies, John? Not sure.
The bodies of the assassinated people, you mean?
I was going to say, KMN 847, if you want to be a little more descriptive on
Yeah.
specifically which bodies, we'll come back to that one.
None of us know that, and we never will.
There's another great question here from the Josh and Artemis show, which said, actually, they were actually making a comment, but this is interesting. This is the red secret machines when you can, or excuse me, read. They must have meant secret machines when you can, John. DeLong basically described it, it's God at war behind the scenes. What are your thoughts on that?
I've heard of that book. I need to go read that. Thank you, Josh and Artemis, sincerely for that. I appreciate it. You guys are good friends and always give great advice. Yeah, I would like to read about that. There's always more we can learn. Always.
Yeah. And welcome, by the way, Wayne and Michelle. They have a great podcast here. All this tech is owned and controlled by these big defense companies that all get government money for black budget projects. Do you think that that's a huge part of this? Do you think it's just they're getting massive contracts and it's all they're worried about going back to money again? Is screw what's really going on to the people of the world as a whole, beyond just America, but people of the world? That it's just based on contracts and ensuring that their families or their group of people are not touched? Do you think that's some of what's going on?
Yeah, if you listen to what's already been said, it's apparently starting in the 1950s after Eisenhower, they went all corporate to avoid congressional oversight. So you can't force them to come out and talk. Private companies don't have to do that. You could hide stuff down there forever. And there's no way they're going to give it up. Even if you try to force them, they won't. They'll just bury it, destroy it, or they'll go to the grave with that. They're never going to do it. You'd have to pry it out of their dead hands. The private companies are not going to do that. They have to do everything in tiny baby steps. They're not going to get rid of oil, gas, batteries, solar, wind, coal, nuclear anytime soon. There's too much money in it. 0 point energy is basically free energy. So
it's true. If it's used properly, right?
If the blueprints get out, you'd have people designing rudimentary, probably very basic, but rudimentary 0 point energy craft flying all over the place for free. They can't have that. You might have some mentally unstable people that have a lot of money that have that. They put bombs on board and do some really heinous terrorist acts. So there are some legitimate national security concerns. Also, we have to be fair why they can't just let it out. It has to be closely monitored and under tight security.
Very true. Let's do this because we do have another guest that's going to be joining us about 10 minutes here at the top of the hour, and I will open up the floor for anybody else who might want to hop in here. But, John, I would love to ask this question, and we didn't get to preface this before jumping into the show, but if you're comfortable with it, have you yourself ever had an experience with the phenomenon, even if it isn't the same as anybody else's, but did you experience something you can't explain, or have you ever?
Yeah, I have. I don't think too much about it because I have no idea what it was. I can only listen to what everybody else is saying in the community and take now an educated guess at what I think it might have been. And nobody around me wants to hear anything about it. So what's the point? Only you guys in the community, know what all this is. Seeing lights in the sky that don't make sense, seeing what might sound like weird noises in your house that don't make sense, shadow beings, things missing from your house that are put back to the next day, even though you checked it a million times, even when you lived alone with the doors locked. Like those kind of things are happening to people all over town here and to people all over the world more and more lately. I'd like to know why. That's why we need answers. We have to demand disclosure. We can't just politely ask. I have a feeling if I had my own channel, I probably would get shut down pretty quickly because I'm not very nice about these kind of things. Yeah. I would get right to the point. That's why a lot of my comments get deleted.
Really quick, John, I'm going to have you hop out right back in just really quick because it says your pitch changed, so it must be doing that thing again with the audio. So I'll just have you jump out and back in real quick, and that way we can keep hearing you because some of them noticed it in the chat too. So I'll have you do that. And while he's doing that, guys, like I said, I will be dropping the link in the chat for people to join tonight. Don't forget, we have Spaced Out Radio coming on tonight. Mr. Dave Scott manning the helm over there at SOR, Monday through Friday. Lynn Wallington, got at 9 p.m. Eastern now, every weekend. And then you can catch myself and Gemma and John, if you'd like, on the After Hours show, where we hang out. We talk about all kinds of strange stuff. We have a good time over there. Man, I gotta tell you, I'm really enjoying this conversation with Mr. Muzic here tonight. John, who in the community has done a lot for us, like I said, and again, you can tell when someone's bullcrapping their way through something, or when someone has legitimately read on this stuff. This is something they're passionate about. And I think it is important that no matter what we do in this life, we're passionate about it. Let's put our best out there, And I don't think we all have to copy what he's doing. That's the unique thing about each and every one of us. That's one thing we've been preaching a lot. I shouldn't say preaching, that's the wrong term. Something I've been trying to promote a lot in this community is that everybody should be themselves. Be who you are. You're meant to be that. They're going to love you for who you are, great. If they're going to hate you for who you are, at least you're who you are and they're hating you, you know? Let's see. John is not in here yet. I know he's at like we said, those gremlins over there. Oh, yeah, no problem, John. I got you. No problem. I tell you what, let's do this really quick because I have one last question for him. And I would love to see, like I said, maybe some of your... Well, I appreciate that. You know, and I don't think it's something that it's just me. There's a community of us that have been pulling together for this. There's a lot of people that that are behind the scenes that have been doing a lot of work in the community to keep people together, and I really appreciate each and every one of them because they're awesome, including the Chad Smith podcast, the Paranormal Chop Shop, as well as Lynn Wallington, and obviously that one time I was abducted by aliens with Bree and Jamie, and so many others. Josh and the Josh from Artemis Show, Alien Girl 111, many other ones. So John, welcome back, brother.
This is awesome. So many of my friends are here tonight.
It's great. I know.
We got Amy, we got Josh and Artemis, we got Lynn Wallington, we got Chad, we got Ronnie, we got Pinzer Flat, we got Meg. There's too many to even. We got Enzo, we got Akashi. It's like I'm loving this. This is awesome. I
know, right? So really quick too, like I said, before we open it up and some other people get going in here, two things I'd love to hit on. I'd love to give you an opportunity if you don't have to go into any detail too much, but if you've ever, what was the first thing you couldn't explain that ever happened to you?
I think one of the first I can remember, besides lights in the sky, which people are seeing all the time, that's too benign, too common, is I had a family heirloom, a writing pen that I like to use back when I would go and I was out going to business meetings a lot. I was always going out wearing a nice suit, and I like to always have a nice pen.
Okay.
You know, something nice.
It's important to have a good
pen. So
pen.
it was a badass pen, huge. I mean, it was like when I put it in my inner pocket of my jacket, of my suit, and you could see it sticking out but I didn't care. And I had it in one of my leather jackets one time, and I hung it up next to my bed, and it was right there. I checked it before I went to bed. And then the next day, like I checked it, it was still there. I hadn't moved it to where it's holding places, you know, the little compartment. And I go to just get a drink in the kitchen. I come back into my bedroom and it's gone. And that was when I lived alone.
So it just up and
disappeared. I checked. I turned my whole house upside down in my car. I even called the places I've been last, even though I knew it was in the jacket like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right. So I checked. Months later, it shows up in the same jacket in the same spot it was that I checked 100 million times. How do you explain that?
It's a little slip in time there, right? Maybe a little dimensional slip of some sort. I don't know. Like you said, there's no rational answer that we've been taught to grow up with. And
you're getting all fuzzy again. The audio, I cannot hear you.
Oh, did it break up on you again a little bit?
Yeah, I'm only hearing like fuzzy noise. I might have to do it again. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I wonder too, is anybody in the chat, really quick, I'll ask you.
Let me log back in. Hold on one more.
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Do I sound do I sound fuzzy to any of you in the chat, by the way? Leprechauns. Actually, I might be saying that wrong. Is that how you spell leprechaun? I can't say anything about spelling. I can't spell to save my life. But I don't know if I'm saying that right. If that is the word leprechauns, I feel like I've never read the word leprechauns in my life. I don't know if that's right or not. We're gonna bring it back in here. It sounds great here. It sounds good. Okay. All right. Oh, I don't know about that, Brianna, but thank you. All right, John. Let's try that out. Is that any better?
Yeah, it's good. It looks like it's just going to keep happening. I apologize.
Oh, no worries at all.
My Bluetooth earbuds are not working tonight, which I always use. Just my bad luck. Tonight of all night, they decided to not work.
It is a rule of thumb that no matter how prepared we are, anytime we've done any of these shows, and I think anybody who's ever streamed or streams currently knows this, that you can be so prepared and something's going to go awry. It's just the way it will happen. So we just keep rolling with it. That's what takes place. Really quick too, before we get going and bringing some of the other ones in, if you had a message that you'd like to promote to the community as a whole, what is something you'd love to just kind of express to people? I know you've been mentioning this the times you go on.
I mentioned it a long time ago on UCR in the super chats, and I even though we're all very different in real life, we come from completely different backgrounds, all of us, and we need to bring in people from all over the world. I just say what I've been saying for a long time. If we're going to make disclosure happen, it's going to be a lot harder if we don't unite in friendship. Even if the friendship is only temporary until after disclosure, we can always go back to arguing and infighting after disclosure. But until then, we need to unite, because all the fighting and personal attacks and personal insults, which I'm seeing all over the comment sections and live chats now, even sometimes against me, where they take
Yeah.
something that's about disclosure and they decide to flip it around, contort it, twist it, and make it personal.
Yep.
And we have to stop that. Of course, there's big differences in the community. We have people in the community that are very, very liberal and progressive politically. Some are extremely conservative. We have some that want nuts and bolts and they don't want to go into the esoteric. And we have some that want to talk about the esoteric and even beyond into witchcraft and fairies and cryptids. And we have the ancient aliens guys, which want to talk mostly about the old evidence.
Yeah.
We have the guys that only want to talk about FOIA documents and nothing classified. They want to talk about only stuff that can be verified by the government. Then we have people that want to talk only about sleep paralysis and, hybrid children, things like that. So it's so fractured.
It is.
It's so fractured. We have the guys coming from an entertainment background, radio, TV, movies, producing. And then we have people like me who are not. We're just a concerned citizen. We've never been into any of that. Yeah. And all manner of subcategories that we break up into small cliques, of small groups. And it's like little cliques, one against the other, taking sides. If we're going to make disclosure happen, we have to unite in friendship, no matter how difficult it is, which means, like I do all the time, we're going to have to a lot of times pull our punches, bite our tongue, swallow our pride, and keep our personal opinions to ourselves, because we can hurt a lot of feelings, and I think the powers that be that want to stop disclosure, that's exactly what they want. They want us to fight amongst each other and eventually just fall apart and go our separate ways. But if we unite and we keep bombarding all the powers that be with voicemails, letters, emails, text messages, tweets, we might be able to make them talk about it more. Who knows? Or maybe not, but we need to unite in friendship. I don't know if it's going to be possible now because the infighting is getting worse every week. I'm just praying for the best. I'm trying to stay positive, and we just take it one day at a time.
One of the things I always say too, that I try to compare it to, if there's any way to compare it, which is the idea that we all, if you look at the human body, we have, your arms, your mouth, that's a mouthpiece. You have your eyes. They see things that your hands and your feet will never do. But those hands, those eyes can only see. They can never do what the hand can do, which is go and touch it and move something and do things. And I just look at our community as that, is that we all have these, unique set of skills that maybe grind against the other person and whatever. But if our goal as a body is functioning to move this thing forward, you don't have to be the hand, you don't have to be the heart. There's all these roles we're playing, and there's so many people behind the scenes that are playing amazing roles. I always look at those people as like the cells that are just helping move blood up and through the stream and the oxygen. There's so many other things here that are going on that you don't have to be at the forefront of this. And we can respect, like you said, agree to disagree on things. And as long as we're doing the best that we really truly can to bring forth the information as the best that we know how, I think that's the most important thing. And just like you said, man, just praying about it or trying to respect another human being, treat people the way you'd want to be treated. I don't think it's that hard, right? But I guess it's easier said than done these days.
Right. There's a lot of people that are it seems like they're trying to stop that. A lot of people can't control their emotions. They have a bad temper. I know I have an extremely bad temper too. So as I get older, I'm trying to become more mature and learn how to control it more. Yeah. And that takes experience and maturity, and learning how to bite my tongue and not say what I'm really feeling and just cuss everybody out and get kicked out of Twitter and YouTube. That takes maturity and self-control. But people are making it very personal here. And it's, the non-human reality that's not the fault of humans. We have to unite in friendship if we're going to make this work.
Agreed. By the way, the Josh and Artemis show said a 10-minute daily John Muzic info news update needs to happen, and it was voted on earlier.
Thanks, guys.
It was put up in the chat. Where is it at? Hang on, I'm going to find it here. And then I'm going to bring in our guests in the backstage as well. Right here, First Floor Audio said, needs his own show. Do you all agree? Why? Or 1 equals yes, 2 equals no. And I didn't see a single 2 in there. I seen 1 after 1 after 1 after 1.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Like I said, brother, it's obviously the only thing you're not comfortable with, but I think that it's something that we all appreciate. We appreciate your passion. And, not everybody's going to agree with that. Not everybody's going to love it.
No, they don't. There's a lot of channels that don't want to talk about. They only want to talk about the positive love and light side or nuts and bolts. And what I talk about is the entire thing. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a brutal realist, and I've been pretty much ignored and dismissed, eyes rolling by a lot of channels that don't want to allow me onto their live video chat. It's been known to me that I will never be allowed on a lot of channels because I want to talk about everything. So It's we need, if we're going to accept disclosure, we have to accept the good and the disturbing side, not just the positive
Agreed.
love and light side.
Agreed. Upon that note, John, I'm going to bring in our other guest we have here, Mr.
Awesome.
Crowley, who's hung out many times with the boys here in the garage. Mr. Crowley,
Right.
welcome to the show tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us. What do you think so far?
Hi, Mr. Crowley.
It's a very enlightening conversation.
You there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? No?
Oh, hang on a second. Let me check your mic settings. Let's try that. There we go. Try that out.
No? Yes? No?
I can hear you now. You're good.
Okay. No, I agree with most of the points that have been made tonight.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, you don't hear him at all?
Not at all. No.
Go ahead and jump out and jump back in and see if that fixes it for you.
All right.
I can
All
hear
right.
him, so
I can't. Hold on one moment.
no problem. Oh, he jumped out. They both jumped out. We'll keep rolling with it. That's the way it goes sometimes, guys. I really appreciate, by the way, everybody in the chat here supporting it. Like I said, even I know if maybe some of you maybe don't support the exact same viewpoints. What's been happening, Tony? Mr. Crowley.
Better?
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time. I think he was
Okay.
just the one who was having issues hearing
No,
you. So.
I just wanted to say one thing first is thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jamie, for supporting me through my, pain and what I'm going through right now. Thank you so much. So
Hey, Mr.
yeah.
Crowley.
I want to throw that out. Can you hear me now, John?
Now I can finally hear you. Thank God. Yeah, nice
There
to
you go.
talk to you.
Okay. No, you guys have some very valid points and some very specific points that I have spoken to Ben about. I've spoken to Spooky about. I've spoken to Jamie about. It's about a community perspective, to where we all need to come together, see the same things, understand the same things, and just believe in the people around us.
Thanks.
That's what's going to make it happen.
Right. I've been telling people for a while that you can disagree. It's nothing wrong with agreeing to disagree. We can even get a little bit upset at each other for a few hours or a few days, but making personal attacks and being disrespectful and rude, that's the only red line that we should not cross. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. We're not always going to agree on everything. No way. That would be boring if we all agreed on everything.
That's what takes us backwards. Okay. I have a technical degree. I'm ex-military. I'm ex-LEO, and I am super hypercritical of things. But the simple fact is, I can't deny you your perspective. I can't deny you your opinion and what have you. And that's what brings a lot of the community down, is the people that say no. No isn't always the answer. Sometimes it is, but for the most part, it's not.
Right.
Hey, really quick, guys, too, at the top of the hour here, I did get an update from Ben. So I just want to read this out really quick so that we were talking about earlier, anybody who wants to donate to the show here. He said every quarter we will choose a group to donate 20% of our earnings to help those in need of extra support. This quarter we choose Anomaly Archives. Let's help Anomaly Archives find a new home. If you'd like to donate directly to them, here's that link, and I'm going to copy and paste that and drop it in the chat for everybody. But like I said, that we will be picking one. I believe he said, every quarter? Yep, so every 3 months we will pick a new group to donate to in the community. So just really quickly, I wanted to make sure I put that out there, and I'll make sure I attach that in the show notes later as well.
No, and I absolutely agree. I back that up 1,000%. I am one of the biggest contributors to UFO Garage.
Heck
Ben
yeah.
and Joe are 1,000% great human beings. You're a great human being, Willy.
Thank you, brother.
And this whole community, Bree, Jamie, everybody, Gemma, everybody has just been so awesome. And if you're going to throw your fucking money away, throw it away to something that matters. You want to spend $5 on a Starbucks, you want to spend $10 on this, $5 on that, throw it to people that actually matter.
Definitely.
And that's what I do now. Because Ben actually texted me today about, you're throwing so much money at us because you make a difference.
Yeah. They really have. I got to tell, I always tell them, I said, I don't think they realize the ripple effect. You think about the relationships that they've built. I don't know where you guys were 2 years ago in your life, but I've got to tell you, the people that I hang out with consistently every week, or at least talk to at least once a week, if not multiple times a week, and hang out on the weekends with now, are people that I didn't even know, some of them even a year ago, but certainly not 2 years ago. And I've met almost every single one of them through the garage. That's how I've met. And it's branched out to meeting other beautiful people that I connect with. And again, even if I don't always agree with their viewpoints, they're just some beautiful souls that truly do care. Oh my gosh, UFOT is in the house.
Awesome.
Guys, I can't give you the date yet, but I know that they have eventually said that they're going to come on and hang out with us. So I'm very excited to have both.
I hope so.
It'll be a good time.
Nuka's really cool. I've watched her shows before, and I sent her the link earlier today for this, and I'm glad she's here. Nuka, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I don't know why. I can see the comments on StreamYard, but I can't reply to them. So.
Yeah, you weren't able to reply as a guest. Sometimes what you have to do is like open up a separate bar, a separate link to have the YouTube pulled up, and that way you can reply to them. And that's why, like, I used to do it on one computer, but now I have two.
I see so many people in here that are my friends and people I've met in the community.
Same here, yeah.
I feel like a dick because I'm not.
Yeah, I want to reply to all of them too,
right
but I can't do that right now on my cell phone. I wish I could because I love being involved in the live chats, but
I love you too, Ben.
I love that
100%.
Kathy Splash says it this way because it's so accurate, guys. We greatly appreciate the super chats, really do. But I love that she says, "Here's $5 and here's $3.50. Keep it up." I love it so much. Thank you.
Yeah, my last donation was $6.66. So.
Ooh.
Oh.
No, don't be good.
Party hard.
I love it so much. What do you guys think in regards to? What do you think with the who, in your opinion, maybe we'll start with you on this one, Tony. Who are the two people that you feel, or some people that are leading the charge in the mainstream media, as it were, in regards to ufology? Who are the names that we're hearing all the time, and are you comfortable with them? I know that's kind of a, I'm not trying to make you have an exact position, but
like I said, I'm ex-military and I know tomfoolery, but honestly, Blink, I honestly feel he has an honest investment in it, not a monetary investment. He already had money. He already had fame. You know what I mean? And he gave up all of that to pursue the subject.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the person. God, the second person. I'd have to think about it for a moment.
Yeah, no worries. What about yourself, John? Who are the ones that you feel that they're being, at least, let me reword it this way. Who are the ones that are being pushed upon us? And are you comfortable with that? Do you feel that they are doing good work, or do you have your own concerns?
Well, I'm not going to badmouth anybody on the internet, but I do have my gut feelings. And I think that with what's been going on the past 81 years, how much have we really gotten? They've left us with no choice. I mean, it was a funny comment made by somebody recently who doesn't care about UFOs at all, and they were watching some of these channels. And she told me, she was like, you do realize? I mean, she has no skin in the game. She doesn't care about any of this. She just watched some of the documentaries and shows I told her to watch, and she said, you do know that the irony of the fact that counterintelligence agents have completely taken over the entire disclosure movement. How ironic is that? And I was like, look, we can't go down that route, because right now the only good information to push disclosure forward that is being taken by mainstream media. Of course, all of us are doing our own research. There's a lot of amazing people out there, private people. But if we want to get this on the New York Times and the Washington Post, do you think they're going to let one of us tell them something? They're only going to take it for real if Elizondo or Christopher Mellon do it. They're only going to do it. So we have to just hope for the best, that they are doing good work and that they're being honest about really wanting disclosure. What other choice do we have? Then that brings up another issue. Avi Loeb and a number of other people said they will not touch hands or look upon anything that is classified. Only stuff. Yeah. So is that going to hold disclosure back? The fact that they legitimately, I mean, obviously we can all understand they don't want to get in trouble, but the good stuff, the real juicy stuff, is the classified stuff. And if they're not willing to look at that, do you gentlemen think that at the very least they're going to let Mellon and Elizondo lead them in the right direction so they can go very quickly towards the non-human stuff? I wonder what you guys think.
I don't know. Tony, what are your thoughts on that?
Elizondo, um, I apologize to everybody that I can't comment to on the chat because I'm having some kind of fucking technical issue. But I see what you're saying and I understand and I want to address it. Okay, now to your question. Elizondo, just being ex-military and just being with my job and the secrecy and the compartmentalization, I can't even say it.
I know that's
Anyway.
the word. I can't say
Okay.
that.
You're trying to say compartmentalize.
And I'm not even drunk, but yeah. But I just have a hard time. I do, because I've been places, I've seen things, and I have a hard time with that. Honestly, Ryan Sprague, he is 1,000% into this. He is 1,000%. I swear to God, this guy sleeps like fucking 2 hours a day. He does, because I mean, he is constantly doing interviews, and just investigating and just totally into the thing. I would give him my 100%.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you see what Sunsaver said, but Avi just wants to maintain credibility. But, he's had contacts before, is what people are saying now, with Chaim Eshet, Dr. Eshet in Israel. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, none of us, just a regular, normal guy, like, we cannot prove anything. But my gut feeling says Avi Loeb knows a little bit more than he's letting on about the non-human reality. If he's had contacts with Dr. Chaim Eshet, I mean, you saw Frank Milburn. I recommend everybody watch the interview of Frank Milburn with UCR 2 months ago, and pay attention to my 3 super chats to Frank Milburn, because he admitted a lot of shocking things. And a few months later, he completely dialed it way back and started going back to the I can't confirm or deny stuff. Again, maybe somebody told him to back off, because in that interview, wow. I mean, he talked about how Dr. Eshed is widely known in the classified industries to be a stand-up guy. People believe him. They take him very seriously. There's no reason to disbelieve what he says about his statements he made, and about government working on EMP weapons to fight back against the non-human craft and to close up the portals that keep opening up everywhere.
Yeah.
See,
and a variety of stuff.
One of the things is you can't get past the NDIs.
Mhm.
You can't get past the security clearances and stuff like that. So there's probably thousands of people out there that have something to say. They can't say it.
Oh, they're hiding right now. I hope some of them start coming out with more leaks.
They're not hiding.
Coming
it's
out.
Just
not hiding. Yeah, they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to go to prison. That's what I meant.
And like that's I had to sign an NDI whenever I left my job, and my job is like shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Honestly. And I had to, I had to sign that shit. So imagine people above me, people that actually have experience, that actually have knowledge, that we can't even imagine, just imagine those amount of people.
Right. What did you guys think of John Music's interview? Not the most recent one, the first one he did. I'm not bringing it up for that reason, but his first one where he came out and he talked about some of the information that he had in regards to his time served in the CIA. I don't know if anybody.
You said my name. Who did you mean to say?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Let me back up here.
It's okay.
John Ramirez.
Right.
I did say John Music, didn't I?
Your beard's crooked, just so you know.
Anyway. Oh, dang it. It's crooked beard. But in regards to his first one that he did with the UCR over there, or the Unidentified Celebrity Review, I thought his comments in regard to Antarctica specifically were pretty interesting, because that's something that's been brought up so many times. I love that UFOT says John. Now, I don't know if she's referring, for all we know, John Music was also in the CIA. We don't know, but now the rumors have started, John.
I'm trying to be so serious right now, and I can't with you.
Nuka makes me laugh. If you watch her videos, you'll laugh your ass.
Oh yeah, they're hilarious. It was very telling, and I know that there's been some drama around that, and it's whatever. But
Yeah, well, he
Some
got
people,
shit on.
yeah, and a lot of people are saying, like they're not buying it, and again, I always think with all these people when they come out, and this was mentioned a while ago. I don't even know if I can catch the comment, but it was from Wayne or the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, which basically just said, I'm not gonna be able to find it. It's a ways back, but they said that a lot of these people that are coming out are, basically ploys. They're playing a role, and they've been planted there. Now, I'm not saying that that's the case with him, but I think that even when that happens, those people seem to give a bit of information to be accepted in. You know what I mean? They got to give something for the community to go, you know what? That's provable. This is factual. And so even when you have those instances where people are coming out, we know that maybe later on they're disinformation. I still think that they tend to shed a little bit of light sometimes, in regards to some of the stuff. I'm not saying that's always the best way to go, but we do get a little more information every time one of them come out.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm ex-law enforcement, and I think a little bit differently than a lot of people. And every falsehood is derived in some kind of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You can't sell a story in just falsehood. There has to be some kind of basis of truth behind that story for you to sell it and for people to buy it. So
Right.
as far as, disinformation, what have you, I can't comment. I can't,
Well, what would he have to gain? What would he have to really gain by lying? That's what we need to ask ourselves. And
trust.
he got
Trust.
really,
That's what you have to gain.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he did
If
get
by giving you a partial truth,
Mhm.
I can gain your trust because you know that I'm telling you something to be true, but I'm extrapolating upon that truth to lead you in a different direction.
Right. But that being said, it goes back to the united in friendship and being able to be mature about it. He was shit on with a lot of personal attacks after that in comment sections and live chats. We don't need to make it personal. If we don't believe what he's saying, we have the right to think that. But he got pretty shit. Not nearly as bad as orders of magnitude worse was heaped upon on Yali. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we don't need to make it personal. If we don't believe him, we don't believe him. A lot of people do believe him now, though. A lot of people do. I mean, he made some stunning
It
statements about
doesn't need to be
reptilians.
personal. That's part of the problem is
Mhm.
just, stop. If you don't believe in the shit, stop buying into the shit.
Yeah, that's all. And that
Don't-
goes back to why I had John on here tonight, was the idea that, John, you've researched what you believe in and what you feel. So it's not like you're out there. It's so important that, people, my father used to ask me this question. I thank him for this every day because I used to get so annoyed, but he'd always ask me when I said I believed something, he goes, well, why do you believe that? And when you put somebody in that position, they have to actually do a little bit of footwork, right? Because we've all seen, and John, you might have been out for a second when I said this earlier, but the fact that you're not you're not just bull crapping your way through this. Your answers are concise and they're there because you've looked into this, you read on it, and you know why you believe what you believe. And we find that sometimes in this community we have people that are just giving answers because it's what they've heard the other people say and it sounds like it's cool to go along with. And I get that works for a little bit when you're first starting out. I'm not saying everybody should have to know what's going on, but eventually you've got to know why you believe what you believe. And
Right.
that's all I would encourage people to do, is to go figure out why you believe this, so when somebody asks you, you're able to do it.
I've never given in to peer pressure in my life. I don't follow the crowd. I have a very alpha personality. I've always been a leader, or if not, then I just go my own separate way, even if I'm an outlier. And a lot of
critical
people,
thinking.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
you have
It's
to,
critical
take the entire picture into context here, not just a few accounts. Look at the global phenomenon worldwide, not just missing people and animal mutilations. Look at orbs, look at craft, look at contact sightings, look at sleep paralysis, look at shadow people, look at missing items in people's house, look at people missing time. When you take it all across the decades from people who did not know each other, they spoke different languages, they came from different religions, nationalities, ethnicities, cultures, etc. When you take a look at that, I think it's time for us to take a stand and take a position. Even if that means we might make a few people mad, it's okay, they'll get over it. I think when you take a look at all that, plus what the government has admitted, either directly or indirectly or leaked, on purpose or by accident, when you take it all into account, imagine if it was a court case. There's way more than enough evidence to go ahead and at least conclude that some of this is definitely non-human in origin. We have to use those 3 words from now on.
Yep.
non-human
Well,
in
let
origin.
me ask you
So
guys.
I'm taking a stand and saying that some of it is definitely non-human. I don't care who gets mad at that because it's too much has already been admitted. You can't say everybody around the world, from an African guy in the middle of a village in 1905 to a guy right now in New York City, they're all lying. They all coordinated their lie together that they saw the same type of gray alien. No way. It's
Okay.
impossible and it's disrespectful and rude. Some of this is definitely non-human in origin. And
Can
if I ever
I
have a
ask you
UFO,
guys one
go
thing?
ahead. I was gonna.
Do you
Go ahead.
guys know who Laird Scranton is?
No,
The
tell
name
me.
sounds familiar, but I don't know that one.
Okay, the point of origin.
Mhm.
Okay, and he speaks about civilizations 3,000 years ago
Mhm.
that had advanced technology, and that the pyramids are not how old we think they are. They were actually made as storage containers to the god Isis. There's 16 different. Yeah, it's way deep. It's
Well, when
kind
you
of
look
like
at the evidence, Mr. Crowley, it is very, very beyond clear that the pyramids and a lot of those things in that part of the world are much older than what mainstream media has just decided it is, based on ancient, just just assuming things by French and British guys in the 1800s and German guys in the late 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1800s. We just take their word for it. They said it was 4,500 years old, and we just say, okay, no way. Things change.
well, he actually debunks carbon dating. The
Yeah. There's been
the
issues there for sure for a
the
while.
It's hard
Gobol
to carbon date stone anyway.
the
So continue.
Gobolic Tepe. You guys know about the Gobolic Tepe?
Gobekli Tepe. Yeah,
Oh,
I've been
yeah.
reading a lot.
Thank you.
They just recently found some more underneath there. It's much, much, much bigger than we thought. And the other ones they
Exactly.
found are even older than 12,000 or 13,000 years old. They believe
The simple
some of them are 15 or 16,000 years old.
the simple answer is we don't know shit, man.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know shit.
Well, you have to ask
True.
yourself, why would a civilization bury on purpose something that beautiful that long ago? Did they know the cataclysm was coming? Did somebody warn them, or did they just know?
Exactly. They knew the
Right.
cataclysm was coming. They wanted to further advancement in civilization. Here's our seeds, here's our plants, here's all of our knowledge, here's all of our stuff. We know the end's coming. We want you to carry on from here.
Right, and they keep finding these buried cities carved out of rock all over the world, deep underground, and we finding scientific evidence there was definitely some kind of solar flare back then, or something very hot that seared the granite stone and melted it. It just burned everything, on top of flooding and God knows what else was going on back then. It's a miracle that humans even survived, but it seems like maybe a lot of people survived the solar flare part, at least by hiding
And
underground for a while.
that was
Hmm.
exactly the point, was
Right.
to hide away these things, hide away our civilization, and continue our existence, because we knew the end was coming. The end, quotation marks.
Right. Somebody just put up in the comments about the tubular drills and circular saws.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Forrester, I recommend everybody watch his videos with Christopher Dunn before he passed away. It's been shown with scientific, they brought people in who know what they're talking about, engineers and stonemasons and other people that have analyzed it.
Exactly. And these
You're talking
stones
about
were cut
power-
to specific to the millimeter, to
Mhm.
every advanced calculation we have.
Right.
And the simple fact is they didn't have the tools, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have these things. And I want to believe science, I want to believe carbon dating, I want to believe all these things, but the simple fact is there was a civilization here that was at least advanced as we are
Agreed.
in their own way. Not necessarily
Definitely.
space traveling or what have you, but they were at least advanced in their own way, as much or beyond where we're at now.
Yeah, they showed the engineers that some of those stones were cut with a circular saw that must have been coated in something at least if hard as or not better than diamond, and a minimum of 6-foot diameter circular cutting blades.
They
So
simply didn't
powerful
have the
that
tools.
it was cutting into the stone a minimum in some cases of 500 times better per minute than our best cutting machines we have today, and at an accuracy that is so far beyond anything we could imagine that it just boggles the mind. And of course, the Serapeum is the smoking gun. There's no way. Hey, Bree.
Free.
Hi,
Great
guys.
to see you.
Sorry.
You guys are having a great conversation.
I can't hear her at all.
Oh, it did it to you again? You're
Yeah.
okay, Bree. So I'm thinking
Oh.
just go out and come back in, John.
Okay.
It must be
Yeah,
every
I'll
time
be right
somebody
back.
comes in that it does it to
Yep.
them. Unfortunately,
I'm
tonight.
Sorry.
Well,
Not
I was
you,
going to
this
tell him
year.
he's doing a great job. That's what I was
Really
going to
is.
tell him.
I'm with Bree now because Jamie got a new husband. So
She's a husband collector, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
so
She wants money.
fine.
Don't feel that special,
What?
Tony.
I got money. Wait, hold on. I got some. I mean,
Hey, why are those all ones?
I was going to say, but I didn't. I left it alone.
because my soon-to-be ex-wife's a stripper. I don't know. Anyway,
That's amazing.
let's move on from this.
Yes. John, you're doing a great job. It's nice for you to have your own space to fully share all your ideas because you do have
Thank
a
you.
mind packed with many.
Thank you. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. Trust me.
I know.
Oh, I
You know a
can
lot.
tell. For
That's
sure.
why I said you need to do your own show because, again, listen, I mean, we try to do what we can do here at the show at the garage, and that is just give people an opportunity to share what they would like to share and what they're comfortable with sharing, but giving a voice to those that, maybe have not always been. John, you have a very good voice and you're very comfortable speaking your mind on things, but some people are still very, like you said, new to this, and they're worried about what they might say or not say, and so giving them a comfortable place to come and share their experiences. It's terrifying. You think about anybody who's had a real experience. Think about the first person you told.
All I
Right?
hear is Big Willy going. So you got this voice.
Am I
sorry.
quiet? Am I
I'll
quiet,
stop.
guys?
It's getting late. I'll stop. I'm sorry.
We're almost there, guys. We're close to
Almost
half
there.
hour where the after hour comes out. The after hour show. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
I love the Spaghetti Lee. Spaghetti Lee, where's your
Spaghetti.
comment? My next wife's a stripper.
Your next
my
ex-wife.
ex-wife.
Oh,
Your next
no.
ex-wife.
That's why I got all the ones.
That's the way it goes.
I ran to the closet.
Really
Anyway,
quick,
Go ahead.
guys, I was going to
I'm
ask you,
terrible.
in regards to I'm going to put in quotation marks, the disclosure that came out through Congress back at the end of last year, right before September, before they were all excused. People have forgot about that, I feel like, a little bit. Like, it's just been kind of swept away. That was just a 13-page, 19-page, whatever it was, 13-page article that was just a brief of the total circumference. We've heard upwards to possibly 460-page document, and that, I feel like, has just gone silent across the board. So, John, have you heard anything about that as of late? Is that something that you feel like is just fallen off?
The
board?
latest video I've seen, I posted it on Twitter. I retweeted it. Representative Carson, who had access to the full classified briefing, and he admitted a little bit more than what was in the June 25th one. So he said that what if the technologies shown are beyond the known physics? I mean, you can read between the lines. He's basically politely saying it's non-human in origin.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what we're going to get, because we already heard that they walked out of there, the people who saw the classified briefing. And the rumors are, I'm sure you guys have heard, that there's multiple levels of classified. So the classified one was 70-something pages. Then there was an even more shocking one that was like hundreds of pages long. I don't know who had access to that. But I'm wondering what we're going to get in this next one coming out. What, October, November is the next time it's due?
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much
supposed
are
to
they going to admit a lot about the physical effects, medical stuff that they're researching right now, Havana syndrome? Are they going to admit to off-world exotic materials like what's been on Twitter today, that supposedly somebody high up in the government just admitted recently that they do in fact have materials and craft that are off-world? I wish somebody could find that link, because I cannot find it anymore.
Well, I'm kind
It's
of
probably
curious as
scrubbed.
to the different levels of security clearance, because whenever I was in the Air Force, I was a level 2 top secret. That's what I was led to believe. But if you
Good
look
point.
it up, there's just top secret, what have you, down from there. There's no levels.
So do you believe what Stephen Greer said, that there's 47 levels of secrecy clearance above what the president of the United States is allowed to see? Or do you think he exaggerated? Or is that true?
47 seems like a lot. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
I
what
mean,
he said.
45, not 40,
level
47.
2. I was level 2 and I was working on shit that you guys didn't even know about.
Right. Well,
You
if
know
it
what I
is
mean?
true, if it is true,
So
the Department of
45
Energy is doing
degrees
that.
above that.
Maybe the number isn't right, but I think it would almost be naive of us to assume that there wouldn't be multiple levels past that. Especially
course.
the president. The president, it's a revolving chair. Why would you give that person
Exactly.
all of your secrets? I mean, they're here for max 8 years. So what?
Right.
That means nothing in the grand scheme of secrecy when it comes to the government, especially this topic, because it is so heavy and there's so much that lies in that secrecy. I really can't imagine that the president would have much knowledge at all.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, he's a temporary employee. He's not a king. And
Exactly.
if you listen
This
to
is
what
what I've
people are
told
saying,
Ben and Joe 1,000 times. And
yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sure
if
Big
you,
Willie knows. No, I'm sure Big Willie knows. There's a need to know.
yeah,
Plain
there's,
and
I mean,
simple.
it seems
And
like
I
Obama
can't-
was let known a lot more than Trump was.
Well,
It
I
seems
can't
like-
extrapolate enough on the simple fact there's a need to know.
Mhm.
And unless you
Yeah.
need to know, you don't know. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're the fucking
Mhm.
president, if you're a congressman, I don't care. There's a need to know. And
Right.
I've tried to, I've tried to tell people this. There's a need to know. And Elizondo and everybody, they've already said that. There's
Yeah.
a need to know.
Yeah, and if you
know?
listen to what they said after you get out of politics and you join the classified industries, you join a corporate industry that's doing black tech, your level of clearance actually gets better, goes up, so you have better access to even more classified, even more secretive stuff. So
Hey,
that
but-
you have to take that into account.
But you can't share it. I mean,
Right.
just
Right.
plain and simple. You know what I mean?
Really-
There's shit that I did that is probably not even important anymore.
Mhm.
But at the time,
Isn't
I
that
couldn't
crazy?
share it.
Damn.
Really
You know?
quick, guys, just so I don't leave them backstage too long. Josh and Artemis, if you guys are good, give me a thumbs up. I did message you privately, but okay, you guys are good. So I'm going to bring them in. Welcome to the chat, by the way. That's okay.
Hey!
And really quick,
Hey guys,
let me change up the view.
They're
here a
They're
little bit.
matching.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm
thank
kind of
you.
matching too.
Like-
I'll be your thing 3.
Mine's more stage.
Willy, I can't hear anything. I'm gonna have to log back in again.
Log back
I hate
in.
them.
Good, because we got a
I
question
hate
for you
them
when you get
already.
back.
I got to change now.
Yeah.
You to go change, you said?
Yeah, because I could actually change and compliment.
Heck yeah.
them.
When John comes back to Larry A,
Not so
welcome to the chat
sexy,
tonight.
but-
Thanks for hanging out with us, by the way. And to Josh and Artemis, thank you guys for hanging out in the garage. I don't think we've ever had you on here before.
Yeah,
Better
first-
go?
No, first time.
First time, yeah, but we're fans of yours. Anyway, we've heard your show a few times, so
Yeah.
it's great to be here.
Heck
God
yeah.
damn it. You got to bring somebody in with an accent, really?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I
Unfortunately,
stole him from the UK and brought him to Canada. So
yeah.
We're fucked
All in
now.
the name of
Thank you.
UFOs.
Hey guys,
Really.
Really quick, John, Larry A has a question for you. He says, hello, everybody. I'm late. I have a question. John, do you believe in non-humans feeding off humans' energy and their emotions?
if you listen to what a lot of people are saying these days, it seems like some of them are. They might be spiritual. They might be something other than just people from another planet. It seems like if you believe what people are telling you, and I think it's disrespectful to call everybody liars. I don't think everybody's lying. I think a lot of people are telling the truth. And if you listen to what they're saying, it seems like it's a lot more complicated than just aliens. Seems like we have aliens here, interdimensionals, ultra-terrestrials, and spiritual beings, and cryptids.
Okay, I have something for you, John. Okay.
Go
I
ahead.
want to piggyback
Now-
off him too when you have a chance.
Okay. You can go first because you're a female, and I respect that.
I'm a goat.
You're the
I
fucking
don't
goat.
claim
Go.
gender. Just goat.
You're
No,
up there,
you're
Tony.
not
wanted
Go
to
for
say-
it.
I just
Go
wanted
ahead,
to say it's
Tony.
kind of like it's the energy vampire, and I think we can also feel that even with humans. If you're around someone and you feel like they're draining your energy, they're a bad vibe, or when you're around them, you just feel like exhausted. So I think it sounds crazy when we think of it in an extraterrestrial sense, because oh no, they're like ciphering our energy. But I think that humans can do the same. So for me, it just makes more sense. It doesn't make it seem as crazy if you think about it that way. Energy, there's always an exchange of energy when it comes to people. So of course, I think that would also be the same for other beings that are out there.
Right. It's
Okay.
definitely.
On to my technical thing.
Ooh.
I'm an electronics engineer. That's what I did in the Air Force, and that's my education. The simple fact is, energy, as far as we know, cannot be created or destroyed. Okay, it can only be transferred. So if you need energy, you have to go find energy. If I'm making any sense right now. You know,
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean by if you need energy? You mean if you're feeling really down or you're sick and you need to
if
get better?
your planet is out of energy as you know it, and you have to go find other energy, you have to go find a new civilization, you have to go find a new, you know, thing to drain the energy from, because you can't create your own energy. You know, if you need more energy, you have to go find it somewhere.
Are you talking about raw materials or are you talking about emotional and spiritual energy? Which one?
Both. I mean, it's just
Well,
it's
raw
a
materials they
scientific-
can find
it's
everywhere.
a scientific constant. It's energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Right.
It has to be transferred. Plain and simple. So if you need more energy as a civilization, you have to go find it. You can't create more. You have to go find more.
Well, raw materials they can find everywhere. Spiritual, I don't know about that, but raw materials, as far as water, even gold, are everywhere.
That's not energy.
They can
That
take
is
that
elements.
they want.
That is physical things. Energy. I'm talking about energy. The things that, you know, move us, that create us, that keep us going.
Right.
You know what I
Life
mean?
force.
Right. You know, it's interesting that you bring that up. I don't know if this is going to be relevant in the future when we get more information with disclosure, but going back to the people that are found dead after they went missing for no scientifically explainable reason, I talked about this with Josh and Artemis and Alien Girl a lot, and Spaghetti Lee. Another thing that they discovered is that a lot of them have an abnormally high level of GHB in their bloodstream, and of course, a standard autopsy does not test for GHB, so the family has to pay a lot of money to do that, and a lot of families elect not to do it. They can't afford it. But if they do, usually they have an abnormally high level of GHB hormone in their bloodstream after their body is discovered, almost always nude, face down in water, undamaged at all, which doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of like the fossil fuel thing with us. You know what I mean? It's a finite resource. It's a finite resource. You know, you're eventually going to run out and have to find it somewhere else. And that's kind of like the energy. It cannot be created. It cannot be destroyed. It has to be transferred. At what point do your civilization run out of that finite resource and have to go somewhere else to find it? I mean, I might sound like a crackpot right now. I probably do, because I should be in bed. But
I pick up what you're laying down. I mean, I think that, and I'm not saying this is how all the civilizations perhaps are operating, but I think there are certainly some that are operating in this manner. Because like you brought up, Bree, even people, right? We've all hung around the people, like the room gets a little brighter when they walk out somehow, you know, like the sun starts to come out. So I don't think, who is it that I just listened to somebody recently. Man, I'm racking my brain now. God, who was I listening to? They were talking about this, it was on Joe and Ben's show last night. Oh my gosh, who was their guest? Tony, what was his first name? Not Steve. Tony. His name was Tony.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that.
And he was talking about how they're creating the negative atmosphere to cause the fear because they were feeding on that.
Yeah.
And again,
you
know, I don't know. I'm no expert on any of that stuff, but I do find it interesting that, by the way, Spaghetti Lee, peace, love, brother. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good to see you.
Good night.
Really quick then, let me ask Josh and Artemis, as we have them here tonight as well. We have had those in the chat ask if you guys are solely repping the grays with the all great gray matching outfits here tonight. Is that what's taking place?
Yeah, it's probably the case, I guess.
Yeah. But mine's kind of more green, but you can't tell it. The camera plays tricks.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying it's green, my
And I
eyes are
got a little
slowly.
alien necklace. So
No, you're wearing green.
it is green. It's a sage kind of color.
No,
50
you're
shades of
wearing
gray.
You're wearing gray. He's wearing green.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Well, there's green behind them. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got a green
Not a
screen
green
behind
screen.
them. So
But the lighting is kind of too dark, so we have to get some better lighting so that it'll work better. 'Cause it's a bit like glitchy around us.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad to
that
see you. I'm
screen,
glad to see you two
the
tonight.
church
By the way,
screen.
that's good.
yeah.
Same, John. And
Awesome.
It's been a great show tonight. You've been great for your first show. So
Yeah.
Thank
like
you,
our
sir.
comment about the Elvis?
Oh yeah, that
No.
was funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. We have to admit, he is the man of many,
Well, as
many
soon as I saw the
secrets.
quote, I was like, oh my god, he looks like Elvis. Like
I
it just,
love it.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment. I'll take it.
it's a good compliment,
It's a good
of course.
compliment.
I mean, it's
Thank
Elvis
you.
Presley. Hello.
Yeah.
He's the king of rock and roll. So
Thank you. And getting back to energy real quick, I do believe there's a very good reason we need to know why. Why is it that we feel so much better when we're feeling down or depressed or sick? Why is it that we feel so much better when we get a good long hug from our one of our children, like a small child or somebody that's just really bubbly and happy and very positive? Why is it that we feel so much better being around pure souls like that, that we actually end up feeling physically better too, not just mentally or emotionally? We need answers for that, and I'm not a scientist.
Well, because they're innocent and they're not corrupted by the world.
Mhm.
You know, I will tell you this 1000%. I'm ex-military, I'm ex-law enforcement, and I fucking hated people forever.
I understand, man.
I lost all hope in humanity, you know, and what have you. And it's the innocence. I don't want to say ignorance, but kind of, you know, and it's just, that's why, you know, because you haven't learned to hate. You haven't learned to, you know, dislike. You haven't learned to be angry with, type thing, you know. And like my son, I mean, I sent Jamie, sorry Bree, I'll send you a picture, but my son, you know what I mean, he's just, you know what I mean, he just doesn't fucking care, you know what I mean, he doesn't care, he has no hopes, he has no aspirations, he has no expectations, he has nothing, you know what I mean, he's just happy. He just lives day by day, and he's
That's
happy.
awesome.
And that's part of what we've lost, you know what I mean? Just to live day by day and be happy and, you know, accept what we have and stop hating what we don't have.
Yeah.
I've gotten into so many spiritual conversations on UFO Garage with Spooky, you know, with everybody else, with Jamie and everybody. And it's stop looking at the negative, you know what I mean? If you just concentrate. Go ahead.
No, I'm getting all scratchy audio again. I'm gonna have to log back in because there's something I wanted to mention about mental health, and hopefully, you know, disclosure can help unite us. I don't know, but I'll be right back. Hold on.
Sounds good.
Oh, and that's, you know, it is mental health. It is, you know, the way you view things, the way you accept things, the way you know, deal with things. And it's, that has a lot to do with disclosure and what have you. And honestly, I'm going all out crackpot again, but the simple fact is until you can learn to view things and accept things with an open heart, an open mind, and just accept. That's the thing. Accept. That is the biggest word that I can use. Accept. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to come into this world and want to fucking talk to you if you're not going to accept me and believe in me and, you know, trust me and just have an open mind and open heart. You know, so everyone says, why aren't aliens here? Why aren't they here? Why is it this? Why is it that? Because why the fuck would you want to be? You know, we've sat here and fought each other for fucking 2,000 years.
And not just that, Mr. Crowley, but the past few years, I'm sure we've all noticed people that are depressed and have the mental health issues are getting worse. Suicides are off the charts in a lot of countries, and a lot of countries are trying to downplay it and keep it quiet. But I'm just praying that disclosure could help unite us and inspire a lot of children to, instead of wasting all their time just sitting around the house playing video games or being depressed, maybe they'll go into science and learn more science and mathematics once they find out we're definitely not alone and it's been fully disclosed, because the mental health issues are just getting worse and worse, especially recently. Very concerning for us all.
They are.
This is interesting from Adam Ambrose. He said, my uncle was career military at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I asked him once if he knew about alien bodies at the base, and he went silent, then changed the subject like he was avoiding answering.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, that's what I was telling you guys before. You know, I've been to Area 51. and I've
Really?
talked to people. Of course, yes. And I was a
Of
photosensor
course.
maintenance. I was
Like, no big deal.
Bree,
Like,
you
duh.
may be a Bree,
Duh.
you may be a female, but I'll punch you in the face. Just so you know.
My God.
But
That's how he makes friends.
I've said it 1,000 times on UFO Garage and so many other podcasts. I had a high-level security clearance. I worked lasers, radar, infrared, security systems. I worked navigational systems, targeting systems. I worked a lot of stuff. And the simple fact is I kind of got led on by whenever we had to go to Area 51 for a certain incident. And you can look back and find where I talked about that. But it's kind of one of these things to where you're like, so what's below us? Well, I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it might be type shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, it puts that seed of doubt in your head. You know what I mean? And then I actually have a friend who is a colonel. He was my high school friend. He's a full board colonel in the military, and he won't talk about shit. I ask him so many questions politically, on aliens, on security and shit like that, and he just simply won't open his mouth.
Yeah, these NDAs and keeping everything compartmentalized and stovepiped is going to make disclosure a lot harder. People are legitimately, I'm sure we can all understand, they do not want to go to jail. They have families to take care of. They have bills to pay. They have a right to make money and make a living for themselves. Life is expensive. Everything's going up in price. Everything is stratospherically high in price right now. They need money, and risking all that, possibly prison time, no way. A lot of people are not going to take that risk.
That was a part of my job. A part of my job, I was the photosensor maintenance technician, okay? And I worked targeting navigational systems. I can extrapolate beyond that. I'm not going to. But the simple fact is we had an A shred and a B shred. Our A shred office was locked by Morlocks. Nobody, including the base commander, could come into our base unannounced or come into our office unannounced. The B shred, we could walk straight through there. Look at the computers, do whatever the fuck we wanted. You know what I mean? And the compartmentalization is it. I can't even explain it.
Did you have something you wanted to add there to that, Josh?
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it's been talked about a few times. I think Ross Coulthard's said it a few times that I think the way to get this out and disclose it is to give some sort of a pass to these people who have kept it secret for all these years, so they won't be charged for their crimes. I mean, what's like your thoughts on that? Do you think that's worth to get disclosure if these people who have kept it secret don't get punished for that?
Yeah, I've talked about that on other shows in the past about it's been a pretty big topic now about blanket immunity. Yeah. If you give people blanket immunity, that might have tons of people come out of the woodworks and start leaking big news drops left and right because they don't want to go to prison. I wouldn't either. I mean, if I was in their position and I have a family to take care of and parents and grandparents who are ill and they need help and it's very expensive for their health care, and you're telling me that I could go to jail and lose my pension, lose my income just by telling people, I mean, I wouldn't do it either. I would just say, well, let someone else do it. So
I was given 10 years whenever I left the military. 10 years not to say anything.
What are your thoughts on that, Bree?
It's kind of tough for me. I mean, I guess blanket immunity would work. I kind of feel like it would be hard to try to bring some of these people to justice on our terms, only because from a national security standpoint, I could kind of see where the government comes from with a lot of secrecy. And also they're carrying this structure that has been built for decades. It's not like everyone that's in office now just decided to keep it a secret. This has been in place for so long. So I think it's kind of like you just roll with the punches, right? So everyone that's in office now, I don't necessarily think that they're responsible for keeping it a secret. And I think that they're just thinking about it from a national security standpoint, and it makes sense for them to do it in this moment.
Okay.
So I can't really judge them.
Bree just actually made a complete point in my mind for me, okay, that I can explain to you guys. Okay, the simple fact is, if we don't know what the fuck it is, we don't know what it can do, we don't know what it's capable of, okay, how can we disclose to you, you know,
Right.
what it is if we don't know what it is? We don't know if it presents, you know, a danger to us, our country, our world, anything else. So
Well,
where do you draw that line?
I agree with you to a point, but there comes a point when, like I said, I have to respectfully disagree. Like I said earlier, I do believe they know a lot more than they're letting on. They know that a lot of it is non-human in origin. They know that people are going missing and getting abducted. They know that they can do whatever they want as they please. They know that something weird is going on with our DNA that cannot be explained by normal science. So they might not know everything for sure, but they do know enough to come out on TV and say that non-humans have been here and are here. They can at least do that to begin with.
Not if it starts more issue though for the general public, you know, because again, they're like in their shoes from a government standpoint.
Right.
I think their number one job is to look after all of us, keep everything kind of contained, for better or worse. I think that's their job.
Yeah,
so if they can't, they can't be like, hey,
1,000.
there's like some aliens and shit and they're doing some weird ass stuff, but like we don't know the whole story and we're not trying to freak you out, but you might be taken in the middle of the night and you might die, but we're not really sure if you're gonna die. We don't know. You might come back. You know, it's like I think that if they were to come out, it has to be clean, it has to be simple, and it has to be in a way that does not cause ultra panic. And until that day comes, until they can really quantize that and just, here you go, it's all good, they can't.
Right. And there's no way to come out clean. There's no way. So you're saying we might not ever get disclosure then because it's too complicated. You can't come out clean and tell people. They might take your daughter or your wife or your husband or your brother or your coworker while you're sleeping at night and then delete your memory so you have no memory of where they went.
They're never going to give you disclosure until they can secure your safety.
And they can't.
Simple. Ever.
Right.
The simple fact is they don't know what shit is. They don't know the capabilities. They don't know anything. So they're not going to come to you and tell you, we don't know what the fuck this is. We don't know what it's capable of. We're not going to, because they're in charge. Their job is to be in charge of your safety, your security, as a person, as a human, and what have you. So they're not going to just come and tell you, oh, we don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened during the COVID lockdowns and when the gas prices, we temporarily ran out of gas. Remember that pipeline went out? I saw people, myself, getting in fistfights in the Sam's Club parking lot over toilet paper, and I saw a fist fight at a gas station over gas. So if they're getting in fistfights over that, just imagine what would happen if they admit they can take you and the military can't stop them. I don't know. I mean, if public panic is going to cause the grocery stores and the pharmacies to be completely cleared out and I can't get any food, water, or medicine for my baby girl, we might have to say, fuck disclosure.
That's kind of like the whole saying of ignorance is bliss.
Yeah,
right?
It sucks.
So
they're treating us like small children.
It sucks, but at the same time, there's a reason why that saying is in place. We might just be better off.
That's what Tom DeLonge is saying.
In the dark.
Yeah, that's what Tom DeLonge said. He said, if people knew, this was his quote, not me, if people knew the real truth, everybody would lock themselves in their bedroom, pull the hair out of their head, and start licking the windows of their house like a mental patient.
I already do that. What?
I was gonna say, but sometimes it cracks me up when they say stuff like that. A little bit. I'm not saying it's wrong, but like, isn't that a little extreme?
Yeah, it is extreme, but I think he was trying to make a point that this world is probably not even ours.
I know that, but see, I've kind of already gone there in my head with that.
To that.
A little.
Bree, I'm sorry for the streaks on the outside of your windows.
Oh my God. Well, I'll tell you what,
could
guys,
let me know. I would gladly let you in.
with 5 minutes to go, what I'd love to do. Oops, why did it change it? Here we go. Josh and Artemis, I do have your link here. I'm gonna drop in the chat. But if you'd like to let people know how else they can follow you guys, since I only have about 5 minutes left. Thank you once again for hopping in and hanging out. We'll have to set something up again for sure.
Oh yeah, of course. I've had a great time. And every single person on the panel has been great as well. So
nice to meet you guys.
It's nice meeting you too, for sure.
Yeah, you too, man.
I hate your hair and what have you, but
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. I hope we can do a video talk one day soon. I don't know when. I hope we can.
Well, we've got a show tomorrow night. You can come on.
Love to.
8
Yeah.
Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern.
We open up the chat usually about like 45 minutes into an hour in.
Great.
On Saturday nights, and it's called The Outer Realms. It's like a segment that we do on the weekend. And yeah, so everybody can head on there tomorrow.
Great.
Fun. We're gonna have Alien Girl 111.
Awesome. I love her. Yeah.
Tony Bottled Water and Goof On. So
that's good
time. Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Artemis. I'll be there.
It's gonna be so good.
I gotta join that.
Yeah, everybody needs to tune into tomorrow for sure.
Perfect.
That's gonna get heated. I'm gonna be there. I'll join.
I just want some recognition.
We are a platform where we open up to everybody.
Yeah,
so this is gonna be good.
We don't close any doors to anybody. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a spicy episode. We already know it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I did drop your links to your guys' channel in the chat, so
second hour.
Yeah.
Make sure you both subscribe. Oh, he might be coming back. I was gonna say I was gonna get you guys out of here.
I've actually been serious for an entire episode.
You did it, Tony. You did it. I'm gonna. A matter of fact, Josh and Artemis, I'm gonna have you guys get out of here, and I'm gonna bring each one kind of saying goodbye. So it was very nice meeting you, and we'll definitely stay in touch. Okay.
We can chat soon.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
I was serious for a whole episode.
Bye, Bree. Bye.
Bye, guys. Great to see you.
Tony, hang on, John. Don't take off on me just yet. So, Tony, where can we follow you? If anybody would like to follow you, please.
Nobody wants to follow me.
Okay, well,
everybody does.
Oh, come on! Don't say that.
Everybody loves you.
No, it's I've been a guest.
You're a
on
favorite
so
mailman.
Many podcasts and so I love you. Anyway, I've been a guest on so many podcasts and so many lives and everything else. I am I'm not affiliated with any paranormal investigation things. I've been working on it. UFO investigation things. I've lived it, what have you. I'm got nowhere to follow me. I mean, I just love you guys. I love being a part of the community. This community has been a major part of where I'm at right now in my life. And it's just fantastic. You guys are awesome.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Have a good one, Tony. Thank you for hopping in here tonight.
Yeah, I don't know shit, but I kind of know shit. But, it's kind of one of those things. You know what I mean?
Well, you're being too hard on yourself, man. It was a good talk.
It was a good talk. Fantastic. Awesome. I'm up way past my bedtime. I love you guys. I love the community. I love everybody involved in it. I mean, this is honestly one of the best communities and one of the best circles that I've ever experienced in my life.
Definitely.
It really is.
Agreed.
We can agree to disagree. We can have we can have disagreements. We can have everything else, but in the end, we're all still friends and we all still accept each other. And that's what I think is the elevation of the human society.
Agreed. Tony, I'm gonna have you step backstage in, and then John, I'll get you out here properly. And you guys have a good night. Tony, it was good talking to you. I'll see you around for sure. And
love you, brother.
Away. Yep, you too.
See you, man. Good talk.
All right. Oops, so they got me up here. I don't know why I'm up here. John, obviously I've got the links to your Twitter in the show notes there. So if anybody would like to follow you, please follow you there. Anything you'd like to send everybody off with here as we wrap up this evening? Thank you once again for coming on and hanging out. But
anytime, man. I hope we can do it again. There's going to be a lot of news drops coming periodically. We got to do updates and have more video chats to keep it going. Keep pushing disclosure forward. Don't give up. And we all got to unite in friendship, stay positive, and just take it one day at a time and try to stay positive with good intentions. That's it. And
Agreed.
I'm going to keep pushing forward as best I can also.
100%. I love that. Well, as I always say, when I am ending a show, I would ask you all to please stay curious and keep it weird.